Hello everyone, I hope you all are doing well. Welcome back to the channel. In today's session or in today's video, what I'm going to do, I'm going to teach you a very important verbal ability skill for CAT, right? That is odd one out questions, right? That is nothing but called as a odd one out questions, isn't it? So if you observe that what these odd one out questions look simple, but they are designed to trap a candidate unless the one doesn't know the right method or the right way, right? So in this video, what we are going to do, or what I will do, I'll show you a six-step, right? Which I use it. Generally, I means or provide somehow called as a 10 to 15 different ways in my class. Um, and those steps are nothing but called as of finding the introductory indicators, um, looking for the main ideas or theme, um, looking for the additional information indicator, or you talk about that um, contrast indicator, pair relationship approach, as well as looking for the what you can say that concluding indicator, linking of the language, or you can talk about um, short form to the long forms, or long forms to the short forms, how to follow the acronym, abbreviation, all such kind of even time sequence approach. But in our today's discussion, I'll just try to make it short. And what I'll try to do here means I'll try to give you nothing but the six-step um, strategy, and will follow uh, means what you can say that a real cat level example, right? Which is taken from the last year cat VRC section, right? And in this section, we will understand how to solve this odd one out questions. But at first, we need to know that what are odd sentence out questions. Now, in this kind of a questions, you are given five jumbled sentences and four of them form a clear logical paragraph, isn't it? So one sentence doesn't fit the context, and that is what the odd sentence out. And a candidate's job is to identify that odd one out sentence, right? Second, it's called as a means how to handle that. So if I look at the simple method, means that I generally tell the students to see that the first thing is called as a find the theme, right? Find the theme sentence. Find the theme. When I say that theme means what? Find the theme sentence. What do you mean by theme sentence? When we say that theme sentence, it means called to look for the sentence that introduces a topic. The and this is usually general and doesn't depend on any previous line. That is what is nothing but called as a kind of a sentence which you need to look for, right? Um, and I also point out that what when a student find out that five sentences are provided, so when he starts reading, try to understand each sentence, right? So when he reads the first sentence, try to understand whether that first sentence is the sentence which begin the discussion, right? So and when he goes to the second sentence, try to see that whether that second sentence has any connection with the first sentence. So one shall not only read the sentences and try to, after reading all the sentences, try to find out the odd one out. So one can go with the sequence, and after doing the sequence, if one finds out the odd one, that could be a logically, and also the accuracy could be more than the kind of a student who means, haphazardly find out the odd one out sentence question, isn't it? So therefore, the first thing is called as a find the theme sentence, right? So second is called as a what we can go for. The second would be called as a group related sentences. What do you mean by group related sentences? Group related sentence, group related sentences. When we say that group related sentences, it means find which sentences share the same theme that the theme you find out at first, right? So means if three or four sentences talk about causes, three or four sentences talk about what? Causes, right? Not only causes, it may talks about effects, right? Or explanation, explanation, explanations. So it means they belong together, isn't it? So that's what is called to group related sentences, isn't it? Group related sentences. Now, the third thing is called as a spot any sentence, spot any sentence, any sentence that changes the topic, that changes the topic. This is your most powerful clue because if one sentence suddenly talks about a different direction, it's likely the odd one out, right? So, therefore, you need to spot any sentence that changes, right? Then the next one, if you see, try building a coherent paragraph. Try building, try building a coherent paragraph. Coherent paragraph. Because see, which sentences flow smoothly that you need to observe, right? The odd sentence will generally refuse to fit anywhere, right? So therefore, means when you connect one sentence with the other sentence, you would find out means those of the sentences are connecting to each other because of the one is a general sentence, another one is a cause or region, or maybe effect, or maybe explanation, maybe examples, right? So therefore, they are connecting to one another in a better manner. So, but the one which is odd one, which is generally, not connecting to anywhere. So another approach you can follow that called as a check for reference, right? Check for check for reference word. Check for referencing words. Check for referencing words means called as a that may be called as a linking words, right? Words like you can talk about that, this, that, these, those, or maybe called as a I, or maybe called as a he, she, it, mm, these, those, right? Or maybe anything which is, noun pronoun relationship approach, which we say they. Um, so these require context actually. If no context is present, you can consider that the sentence is odd one, isn't it? So that is what also you need to follow, which is known as a check for referencing words, right? Beside that also, you need to follow, you need you need to follow that called as a topic scope direction test, right? Topic scope and direction test. What is that topic scope and direction test? Topic scope direction test means Generally, if you find out the jumble sentence or odd one out question, ask three questions to yourself. That does this sentence talk about the same topic? Right? You read the first sentence. If you go to the second sentence, you need to ask whether the second sentence talk about the same as the first sentence, isn't it? So that is what called as a topic. Then second is called as a does it fall within the same scope? Does it fall in the within the same scope? So and the direction is called as a is it moving the same direction? Is it moving the same direction? That called as a cause, effect, or contrast. If the answer is a no, then the sentence must be odd, right? So that is what you would find out. So these are the 6 steps that you're supposed to follow when you go with the kind of questions which I pointed here, right? So in that case, what are the things I pointed? Or one in or one out question, follow, identify the main theme sentence. Like the theme means usually you can find out introducing a problem, gives a broad context, contains general information, and doesn't refer back to anything, right? Let's say that. So when we talk about identify the mm, main theme sentence. So main theme sentence introduces what? Introduces a problem. Introduces a problem. Second, it's called as a gives broad context. Broad context. Broad context. Third, it also contests. It also contains, you can say that general information, contains information, general information. Then fourth, it's called as it doesn't contain, doesn't contain, uh, or it doesn't actually um, contain or refer back to anything, right? So it doesn't refer back to anything. So these are the things generally the main theme sentence indicated. This is almost always the starter sentence, you can say that. So starter sentence and gives you the core thing, right? So we will take one example and we'll discuss also. So this is the step one, right? You can take it as a step one. So in step one, what we understood that we need to find out the main theme sentence and main theme sentence. How do we understand a sentence carries the main theme when that sentence introduces a problem and gives broad context. And third is called as it contains general information and it doesn't refer to means uh, any other thing, right? So that could be a considering as a core thing, right? Then step two would be what? Step two is generally group sentence by meaning, like I pointed, group sentence, group sentence by meaning, right? Understand that group sentence by meaning. Like what this group sentence by meaning, like look for sentence or look for sentences that continue the region, continue the region. Second is called as add examples. Add examples. Third is called as a contrast with the earlier statements. Contrast with earlier statements. Earlier statements. Then fourth is called as explain the fact or explain the phenomenon. Explain the phenomenon. Right. Now, when we say that what continue the region, it means called as the sentence is given, right? Another sentence is nothing but adding with the same idea or called as giving the region. Um, like let's say that a sentence is given, so another sentence added with it, then it must have used the kind of a linker called as and as well as or you talk about moreover or you talk about not only but also to TOO2, or you talk about that also. These are nothing but adding ideas, adding the same ideas. May it contain with a region that may be due to because of since for such kind of a region-based indicator that continue the region. Right. Sometimes it also happens like add examples. So when means a sentence contains examples, it may use with some indicators called as such as, right? Or for instance, such kind of indicators can be helpful to recognize or indicate means examples. If you have a contrast with earlier statements, then definitely the contrast indicators words like but, though, although, yet, however, right? So these are the contrast means indicators may present, right? So, or if you may find out some kind of means condition or maybe concluding words or concluding sentence, then they do have also conditional indicators or called as a concluding indicators could be present, right? So that's what you would find out, isn't it? Like, let's say that if you talk about concluding indicators, you may find out finally, at last, lastly, hence, therefore, all such kind of a concluding indicators are there. If you have a time sequence approach, then also now, then, before, after, or you talk about before, ago, such kind of a time sequence approaches or indicators are also present. So which help you to make group sentence by meaning, isn't it? Then uh, moving to the next one will be step three. So in step three, what do we find out? Step three, that indicates about spot the sentence that drifts away. Spot the sentence, spot the sentence that drifts away, drifts away. So what do you mean by that? It means generally the sentence that drifts away is usually the odd one out, right? That signs of an odd sentence. Let's say that how do you find out a sentence is an odd one? When you find out the new topic, right? You find out all the other sentences are telling about one particular topic, another sentence introduces new topic. So, or maybe opposite tone, you would find out all the four sentences are presenting positive tone, but the fifth sentence reducing the new or opposite tone, right? Or maybe four sentences are telling about one or going into a one direction, the other sentence going into the different direction, different, different direction, right? So even you also find out that means the sentence which is an odd one, not supporting or explaining the main idea, not supporting supporting or explaining the main idea. Explaining the main idea, right? Even sentence which is the odd one, so that talks about solution, that talks about solution, solutions, when everything else talks about what? Uh, means causes, right or not? So even you also talk about the sentence which is the odd one talks about benefits, benefits when everything else talks about problems, isn't it? Or maybe vice versa. That's what you would find out in a spot the sentence. That is what you need to observe. Um, step four, step four. Then the next one is called as a step four. Step four is called as a check for narrative flow. Check for check for narrative flow. So when we say that check for narrative flow, so what do you mean by that? It indicates that try arranging the remaining four sentences in a paragraph. Like uh, start with the theme, right? That is the step one which I pointed. Then look for the second one that called as a causes or explanation, right? Then build coherence, build coherence, right? If four sentences flow smoothly, but one sentence sticks out, that one is the odd one out, isn't it? So that is what known as a check for narrative. Okay. Beside that, we'll move for the next step, step five. So step five indicates about what? Check for grammar, right? Grammar, grammar, or referential fit, isn't it? When I say that referential fit, what do you mean by that? Grammar or referential fit? It means sometimes an odd sentences or odd sentence uses with what? Means this, that, these, those, right? Without any reference, like I pointed earlier. So, or reference to something not mentioned in others. So, or called as a shifts from general to extreme specific, right? General to general to extreme, extreme, specific, you can say that, right? So, or you may find out that it sometimes it happens like it breaks tense, it breaks tense, consistency, consistency, isn't it? So you can see that. You can also point out the grammar which I pointed, tense, or maybe called as a noun pronoun relationship approach, or called as a linking of the language, uh, right? Such kind of a thing. So beside that, the last one is called as a step six. In this, we need to follow the topic, scope, and direction, which I pointed. Topics, scope, and direction, right? So this topic, scope, direction test is what? Like topic is generally known as is the sentence is the sentence talking about the same topic, right? Scope is generally called as a does it fall within the same scope that called as a causes or causes of a decline or something else. And direction is called as is the direction consistent? So explaining uh, decline versus improving service, right? So such kind of a thing. So if all such kind of a things are there, then only you understand means your means what you're going into the right direction and your odd one out can be easily identified, right? So these are the six steps generally we follow when we go for the odd one out questions. So quickly, if I talk about that, means um, what we supposed to do when we go for the odd one out question. The first thing is called as to find the opening or main idea sentence or theme. Second is called as a cluster sentence that supports or explain this theme. Third is called as identify the one sentence that cannot be placed logically. So four is called as a check if four sentences form a smooth paragraph. And fifth is called as a confirm thematic and logical mismatch. So, and sixth is called as a topic scope direction. And finally, we arrive to the all one out sentence, right? So, these are the ways we need to follow when we go for the odd one out question. Let's try one example from the 2024 VRC question. One of the examples will be taken from there. Yeah. So look at that text. What does the text try to tell us here? Okay. So, uh, hmm. So the direction point out here that five jumbled up sentences. Give me a second. Okay. So five jumbled up sentences labeled 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 related to a topic are given below. Four of them can be put together to form a coherent paragraph. We need to identify the or sentence and key in the number of that sentence as your answer. Well, uh, just look at that text. What does it try to say? It says that urbanites also have more and better options for getting around. Urbanites also have more and better options for getting around. Uber is ubiquitous. Ubiquitous means present everywhere. So Uber is ubiquitous, easy to rent, dockless bicycles are spreading, battery powered battery powered scooters will be next. Okay, so this is the first sentence. So which is stating about what urbanities also have more and better options for getting around. These are the examples which have been pointed. So uh, second is called as when more people use buses or trains, the service usually improves because public transport agencies run more buses and trains, right? Then third, which is said, worsening services on public transport, terrorist attacks in some urban metros, and a um, and a rise in fares have been blamed for this trend. Then fourth, it seems more likely that public transport is being squeezed structurally as people's need to travel is diminishing as a result of smartphones, video conferencing, online shopping, and so on. So fifth, there has been a puzzling decline in the use of urban public transport in many countries in the West, despite the growth in urban populations and rising employment. Now, if I observe this particular question, so what we find out here, like I said, that means we need to follow all these six steps to handle such kind of a question, right? Um, when we point out this particular questions, we draw that what um, the first sentence. What does it say? Urbanities also have more and better options, more and better options for getting around. It is stated that what, like, it is given the example of what Uber bicycles and scooter will be present. So second is called as when more people use buses or trains, the service usually improves. The public transport agencies run more buses and trains, right? So If I talk about that, means the theme out of these five sentences, I could find out that the which sentence will be the first sentence. I try to make the sequence, and then after we will go for the means odd one out. So here urbanities also is used, so it cannot be the first sentence, right? It seems like what it is the uh, it is adding the same idea, right? It is adding the same idea. So somewhere it is stated about means uh, that more and better option for getting around. Urban it is telling about urban people. Then second option said when more people use buses or trains, the service usually improves because public transport agencies run more buses and trains. Now this sentence is telling about that what public transport agencies run more buses and trains, so people will use bus or trains for means for their daily movement. So third is called as a worsening services. This one is a positive one. Option two is a positive one. It tells positive idea that called as a more public transport um, people will use. So, but the third one is telling about worsening services on public transport. So this one is going against the public transport by saying that the services on public transport becomes worsening. Why? Now, because terrorist attacks in some urban metros and rise in fares have been blamed for this thing. So people do not use public transport because of their fear for the terrorist attack, as well as they find rise in fares. These two are the reasons, right? Why public transport becomes worsening. Third, it seems more likely that public transport is being squeezed structurally as people's need to travel is diminishing as a result of smartphones, video conferencing, online shopping, and so on. Now, this option 4 is also following with the same flow, right? It means it also goes with the same flow by saying that what public transport means is used less by the people. Why? Means, or it is diminishing because the region is called as, look at that, as a result, which is an indicator. The region is called as a smartphones, video conferencing, online shopping, and so on. These are the regions for which people are not using public transport, right? So I can say that what option 3 and option 4 both falling into the same group, right? Then there has been a puzzling decline in the use of urban public transport in many countries in the West, despite the growth in urban population and rising employment. Now, it seems like what the fifth one is the beginning one, right? The fifth sentence is the first sentence because it provides the general statement and it has the thing. What is that? There has been a puzzling decline in the use of urban public transport in many countries in the West. So it tells that means where it happens, right? And what happens despite the growth in urban population and rising employment. इसका मतलब बहुत सिंपल है कि मीन्स वेस्ट में जहाँ पे मीन्स अर्बन पब्लिक ट्रांसपोर्ट यूज किया जाता है उसका जो यूसेज वो धीरे धीरे कम हो रहा है डिस्पाइट द ग्रोथ इन अर्बन पॉपुलेशन मतलब डिस्पाइट लोग ज्यादा से ज्यादा लोग अर्बन में रहते हैं और उनका एम्प्लॉयमेंट अर्बन एरियाज में ज्यादा होता है फिर भी मीन्स दे आर नॉट यूजिंग अर्बन पब्लिक ट्रांसपोर्ट सो fifth is nothing but considering as the first sentence, isn't it? So we find out means a general statement. Second means it is if I look at that option 4, option 3, and option 1, they could be the reasons behind it. So the option 1 stated that urbanites also have more and better option for getting around Uber is ubiquitous, easy to rent, dockless bicycles are spreading, battery-powered scooters will be next, right? So these are nothing but considering as a means region why hmm, so why they are not using urban public transport. So one could be one of the regions, right? So this is again. So what I am trying to do, I'm trying to make myself sure that I'm going into the right track or not, right? So then what Four is saying it seems more likely that public transport is being squeezed structurally as people led to travel is diminishing as a result of smartphones, video conferencing, online shopping, and so on. And three is called as a worsening services on public transport, terrorist attack in some urban metros, and the rise in fares have been blamed for this trend. Right now, in that case, I go into the right direction. One, three, 4, and 5 are nothing but telling about the theme that is called as a in the West, there is a surprising decline in the use of urban public transport, right? So I can consider that means these four are, the other three are the regions of this option 5. Then what about 2? Option 2 is indicating when more people use buses or trains, the service usually improves because public transport agencies run more buses and trains. Now, this one is telling the opposite direction by stating that what public transport agencies run more buses and trains so that people will use buses or trains for their service, right? So that is why we can consider option 2 would be the odd one. Now, if I make the sequence, what would be it or what it would be? Now, 5 is the beginning, right? So there has been a puzzling decline in the use of urban public transport in many countries in the West, despite the growth in urban populations and rising employment. Uh, then the next one would be the option 3, right? By stating worsening services and public transport, right? Terrorist attack in some urban metros and the rise in fares. These two are the nothing but called as the regions, right? Why there is a puzzling decline or worsening services is nothing but the regions. Second is called as means we can say the fourth one. It seems more likely that public transport is being squeezed structurally. Why the region is called as smartphones, video conferencing, online shopping, and so on. This is again called as other regions. And third is called as mm, people are using means other mode of transportation like Uber or bicycle or battery powered scooters, right? So hence we can say that the sequence should be 5, 3, and 4. 5, 5, 3. Okay, just a minute. 5, then after we go with the 3, then after 4, then after 1. 5, 3, 4, 1. Yes. So 5, 3, 4, 1 is the sequence and 2 is the order.